What's up, everybody? My name is Tyler. If this is your first time seeing me, hi. And you are tuning into another episode of Conversations with a Natural. And on this episode, we have my friend, Jill.
The one and only, honey.
I can't stand you.
That's why you sitting down, sis.
Boo, boo.
It's okay. It's okay. You can't relate. That's all right. Bars coming out October. Anyways.
How are you? How have you been doing?
Girl, it's okay. It's okay. Life's going okay. It is what it is. COVID is still out here in these streets, loud and popping. Trump is still loud and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. That's really it. Other than that, I'm actually pretty good. Just like spending more time with friends and stuff. Just recently celebrated my 21st birthday in August. So 22nd. I always get the two confused, kind of, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely.
Okay. So we're just gonna get right into this interview conversation thing, whatever. So can you tell everybody your name, your hair type, if you know it, and where they can find you on Instagram if you want them to follow you?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Joy Lino. My hair type is 4C. Not no 4B, not no 4A, it's 4C. Sometimes I like to call it 4Z, but that's a whole nother conversation. And my Instagram is Joyce, JOYCE_G.S. You can follow me there. I don't post as much as I would like to, but I'm gonna start getting a little better. So yeah.
Okay, cool. And what has your natural hair journey been like?
I would say it's definitely been complicated, especially coming from a background of being Nigerian myself. Growing up, you're often, and not only just being Nigerian, but I guess kind of spreading more of the conversation throughout the diaspora and not just keeping it on a Western lens. Growing up, we often grow up with these images of believing that, straighter hair is better, or more finer hair is better. So growing up, I went through the process of getting, the perms and going through that pain of, the flat iron, the hot comb, trying to make sure that your hair is straight, not trying to sweat it out. And eventually that led to, some hair loss and some hair issues, obviously, because as 4C hair is very sensitive, and obviously putting chemicals in your hair like that and constantly messing with it doesn't really help your hair. So I would definitely say it's been a complicated one, but I would say definitely coming into QU, it's crazy because I would definitely say more so coming to QU was when I was more conscious about my hair. But I will say that it was the last time I ever straightened my natural hair was sophomore year of high school. So, but it wasn't until college that I was able to gain an even better understanding as to how to really take care of my hair.
I feel like everybody has those kind of epiphany moments where you realize,
right,
all right,
it's not working.
Right, it's not working.
It's not working.
Yeah, this is
not
working. Not cutting it, so I got to do something else. That's kind of similar to what Yadley was talking about. She big chopped, so she did it when she was 16, so somewhere around sophomore year-ish in high school. So that's when she did hers too. And I guess the experience was kind of rough because she was doing it by herself. So
right.
I know you're the oldest, so I know you have one sister?
Yes.
Is she has she gone through any of that, or is she just completely natural the whole way?
So it's crazy because even though my sister and I have a 6-year difference, we still went through similar processes. I would say for her though, it was cut a lot quicker than it was for me. Because obviously when I came into my own consciousness and was able to kind of realize like this is not really working. Like, what are other ways that I could protect my hair? Obviously, then I was able to trickle that down to my sister. So my sister didn't necessarily have to go through as long, of the process that I had to go through, but she still went through it. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very similar, but my sister, we're 7 years apart, and she got the I never did. But she got
Oh,
her
wow.
later on, like high school, I would say. So like, I don't know, like maybe like junior or senior year, something like that. It didn't last long because by the time she was in college, graduation, she done cut it all off.
Right.
So
Oh,
it didn't last long.
right,
So
right.
it was just, and my mom was like, yeah, you never wanted one. That it never seemed, and I think that's how I realized, how they talk about good hair, and then they're like, oh yeah, you have good hair, so you don't worry about things like
Yeah, and that's a whole nother conversation.
that.
So yeah.
Well, push that.
To the left, to the left.
But now, thinking about like all of the stuff, like, in childhood and growing up, like, how do you feel about your natural hair right now?
It's actually really funny because if you asked me a couple of years ago how I feel about it, I feel like growing up, especially I feel like middle school was especially hard because a little bit about me, moving from South Carolina to Connecticut, it was kind of different because I was moving from a more diverse space to a more white space, I guess. So under that context, especially growing up in middle school where you're a girl, you're trying to, redefine yourself and find out like what works for you in terms of looks. For me, and especially for a lot of girls, that's a very big pivotal point in their life as it relates to their identity. And so for me, it was kind of hard because I'm looking around and I'm not seeing people who even look like me, much less that have hair like me. So obviously then like it was, I want to call it like, I don't necessarily want to call it self-hatred, but I guess in a sense it was, because I just really wasn't comfortable with my hair being the way it was. Um, then obviously after that, I kind of grew indifferent, but it wasn't until again, like college where I began to actually really like my natural hair. And obviously like me with my protective styles, my hair's gotten a lot healthier, a lot longer. So I really do love my hair now. It's just more so a conversation of maintenance, keeping it up, how much time I have to do it. That's why they call me a wig natural. So
Yeah.
listen, I ain't got time. Like, I don't have time to be wrestling with my hair every day. That's a whole nother conversation. Like, honey, like, no, these arms, you see how weak these arms are? No, 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 no.
just for the day, I have to join the club. 'Cause
Listen,
I don't feel like doing it. I just don't.
listen.
I just don't.
It's just a lot. Like, I don't feel like breaking combs. I don't feel like having my hands looking like prunes from the lotion that I have because I've been trying to moisturize my hair. I put a bottle of lotion on this side, I turn around and now it's dry again. I've got to put more. It's a lot. It's a lot. And 4C hair drinks moisturizer like it's water. So it's, it's a lot. But I would definitely say, now to bring it, back to your question, I definitely do love my hair a lot more. Do I feel like I have a ways to go? Yes. But in terms of where I was, it's a big improvement.
So, reminiscing on all that stuff, how much do you think like hair is a part of your identity as a Black woman?
Oh, I think hair is a big part of just like no matter where you are within the Black diaspora, hair is always a big thing for Black women. And I think that again trickles down to the original, depending on what African country you come from, it all originates from that original culture. Even before colonialization, hair has always been, a great sense of pride for Black women. And so, especially now, it makes more sense that Black women, we spend a lot of money on our hair because, like I said, even before colonialization, our hair was a sense of celebration. It was seen as like a crown, essentially a crown. So with that context, you know, it would make sense about like the way that we do treat our hair. Um, I just feel like the whole hair conversation, it's, and again, like, you know, we'll talk more about it later, obviously, but I feel like, especially in today's context, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like in today's context, we've sort of, in a way, like, have backtracked in terms of true pride with Black hair and diversity with Black hair. And what I mean with that is, I kind of feel like nowadays, like, there are definitely a lot more resources to take care of your hair and love your hair. But I do feel like representation for Black hair has taken major steps back. Whereas if you look at, say, the 80s or 70s, you had a lot more diversification for Black hair, especially for Black kinkier hair. Whereas now all you're seeing are much looser textures. So obviously, like I said before, you have a lot more resources today that can help you take care of your hair and get to know more about your hair. And you might have pride in your hair, but I think the number one issue that comes across today is you might have pride in your hair, but where is the space for us to have pride and representation, I guess, is a sense. So that's why it's kind of tricky for me to talk about these issues, especially as it relates to Black hair, because, you know, we've taken so many positive steps, but at the same time, I do feel like we've taken 10 steps backwards in certain aspects.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
When I started doing my own hair, I was in middle school. So I was like 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
I like, it was like early 2000s. So it was way easier for me to find like videos and like, you know, pictorials for me to follow along with.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point my hair broke off. So I had like a bob, like
Mm-hmm.
it was like here, and then so shrinkage. So when my hair was curly, it was like here.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do with it. And so like you're talking about like representation and stuff like that, especially as far as hair texture and skin color, like
Right.
being a brown skin woman, like a dark skin woman versus being like Brianna shade.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see us that often.
Right. And
Brianna everywhere.
right. And I would even make the point that I'm glad you brought this up, because featurism and colorism both work. Featurism, colorism, and texturism all work together in the same system. So it's funny that you say that, because often when you do see a brown skin or dark skin woman portrayed, you notice that it's very few times that you see these women that have the natural 4C hair. And let me also say, again, you know, when we talk about 4C hair, people get very confused about it. And, you know, I personally feel not, I don't know how you might feel about it, but I feel like when it relates to the natural hair community, there are some YouTubers that either don't know or knowingly know that they don't have 4C hair, but will advertise their videos to make it seem like that to get more views, when in reality it's hurting us, because again, we don't have representation for us to be able to better know our hair. So going back to the conversation about, you know, featurism, colorism, and texturism, that's why you don't see that many dark skin or brown skin actresses with a hair type as a Lupita Nyong'o or a Viola Davis. You might get a girl who has a looser hair texture. So even when we do get representation, it's never full representation. Often when you see like the darker or brown skinned girl, she has to have Eurocentric features like a thinner nose, or she has to have looser curled hair. Like if you look at, you know, I don't know, like a Kerry Washington or a Gabrielle Union or a Ryan Destiny, they all have like a certain grade of hair texture, even though they are brown skin, dark skin. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's actually really interesting that you brought up that conversation, because it all definitely like intertwines into each other.
Yeah, it's like you really can't talk about one without mentioning.
You can't, yeah.
They honestly, they go hand in hand. Like you can see my hair, you'll see me before you see. If you're not paying attention to what's going on up here, you'll definitely see my face.
Right.
So like,
right.
There's no way to get around you missing
right.
the way I look, because it's the first thing you see.
It's the first thing you're gonna see. Right.
Like, I can always do things to change my hair, so you'll never know how it actually looks. but my skin, unless I'm like bleaching it or something, like, I mean, you'll always know, you'll always see it. Like, it'll be the first thing you see,
right,
first glance. So
right, right.
yeah.
And it's all, in reality, it's just, if we're gonna be real, you know, it's all stemming from, you know, proximity to blackness or Africanness, I guess, in that sense. You know what I mean? That's where all of this discrimination and hate is coming from. Because again, when we're talking about it, you know, we could talk about a conversation of featurism. You know, I could talk about myself, like I might have a smaller nose in compared to other individuals, and you know, like sometimes I've definitely heard remarks sometimes, like, you know, making disparaging comments against Black individuals that might have a wider nose, or Black individuals that might have a kinkier set of hair, or, you know, some Black individuals that, you know, the stereotypical Black features that we think about. And so again, like, these are things that we have to have conversations about, because it's so ingrained in our everyday thought process that when you really take a step back and look at it, it's kind of crazy, like how these intersections really play into the way that you move around the world. All of these things are so ingrained in our everyday life that you can easily walk around and not think that there's anything wrong with it. You making a statement like, oh, you have good hair, on the surface level, that's a compliment. But then we realize that when you break down the barriers of colonialization and, you know, constant suppression and, you know, stuff like that, you begin to realize where these sources are coming from. So,
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
did I do that? Sorry. Didn't mean to wake y'all up. So.
Let me.
You're my invisible. I don't even got a cup.
They're not. I don't know. They're not ready for that one. They're not
ready for that one.
They're not ready for that one. But like,
they call me Malcolm J.
Oh, please, please. You ain't even try to change the whole name. You just J, just J.
Jalcom J.
Jamalcolm. Your name is Jamalcolm.
Jamar.
Jamalcolm X. Yeah. Jamalcolm X.
Oh, they're my Black African queen. Why do you feel the need to wear that on your head? You are a queen from the land of the Nubians.
Yo, oh my gosh. What?
Oh my goodness.
And that's what people be saying. They be like, why don't you love yourself? Wear your hair out the way it comes out your head. Do this, do that. Why? It's like, can you mind your own business?
Let me point out I'm glad you brought that up. Let me point out the hypocrisy and the way people bring that up. Let's not sit here and act as if Black women going around with their natural hair have not been discriminated against, not only on a visible outlook or relationship wise, we're also talking about job outlook. Mm-hmm. The way that you earn your money is dependent on how you present your own hair. Hair for us is so politicized. So I don't want to hear about how people are saying, oh, you should love yourself. You should wear this, you should wear da 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 da. But on the meantime, people always make comments such as good hair, or you have nappy hair, or people, you know, just a lot of these statements that we make are so socialized and negatively socialized towards coilier and kinky textured hair. I mean, even if we have the conversation again about colorism, featurism, texturism, you know, a lot of the times when you have conversations with certain individuals about why they date certain people, a lot of the time, what comes up in the conversation? I don't want my kids to have this type of hair. I want my kids to have this hair. I want my kids to have da 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 da. These are the same people who will then turn around and look at you and say, why do you wear that wig on your head? Obviously, you're not even attracted to your own, yourself. You're not even attracted to your own self. So how is it that you feel the need to then come out of your mouth and try to criticize someone that's trying to move within dominant society? And that's what it is. We have to start having a proper conversation about assimilation, which is when you have minoritized groups that are trying to move within a dominant system to then try to gain some sort of financial, economic, some sort of stability for themselves. Again, we're not the dominant class. So we have to try to find ways to move within this dominant society. What are some of the ways that we can move within this dominant society? That's hair. Again, there have been laws passed to prevent you from even showing your natural hair in public. So coming again from that history, we then understand that me showing up like this, I understand that I'm going to be more accepted with me talking like this than with me out with my natural hair. I also understand that the way people treat me is different. Me being a wig natural, the way that people converse with me is a lot different from how they converse with me with my natural hair. And that's just how it is. So when people make these comments, it's almost like they're gaslighting you to not really understand the state of the world that we live in, the systems that are put in place for us. And even talking about the roles of gender, you know, it's okay for many Black males to have their kinky hair out, you know, to be able to express their hair with their natural kinky hair. But often when we look up hair tutorials for girls, for I guess like, you know, if you want to put up a top bun or do something with your hair, notice how the language then changes. You have to now slick it back. It can't be its natural hair texture. You can't have your edges be quote unquote nappy or natural. You always have to slick it back. Again, these are things that we think are normal, but then when you begin to really study it and go back into the research, you realize where all of these systems are stemming from. So simple things such as, you know, feeling the need to gel back your hair, simple things as needing a hot comb just to do your edges, or, you know, even braiding down your hair, regular box braids. You don't have hairstylists that don't even want to work with natural hair. Now you have to have your hair be slick with gel for box braids. So again, when we have this conversation about why do you wear these wigs, stuff like that, let's be honest with ourselves. There are plenty of Black actresses who probably could have gotten a lot farther if they wore an extension. That's why women like Lupita Nyong'o and Viola Davis are so celebrated, because we never see women like them. You know what I mean? And so, you know, it's a long answer, but I had to cover all the ground. So I had to cover all the information.
Oh,
you know, my information is always informed. So,
but it's like we were having conversations like this when we were in school at QU, and when all the preference talks would always come up, and you know, oh, I just like her because she looks like this, or you know, it's not that deep, she just looks like this, and I just so happen to have a repeated pattern of liking light-skinned women with really loose curly hair. Sorry, not my fault, just a preference. And it's like, are you sure? Like, and I know I'm not putting somebody's business out there, because there's a situation that we know, you know exactly what I'm thinking about. And it's like, what was the difference? What was the difference between the two people? Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack. It really is. But I'll just move it along.
To the left.
Ooh, so
you're not ready for that conversation.
No. But now, like, I remember you said something like a couple minutes back about like people approaching you differently versus, like, you know, when you have a wig on and when you're natural. So like thinking about that and how like the treatment and the differences between like the people or whatever, like, does your natural hair make you feel beautiful? And if not, what has your journey to accepting your natural hair been like?
I feel like it's not even really my natural hair. It's just really my forehead. Like, I feel like for me, that's where my insecurities are. Because honestly, like, again, you see my natural hair, it's very long, it's very thick. It might be a lot of work, but again, like, that's why I look natural. I can braid it up. I gotta go somewhere. I don't have to worry about it. I do think that me wearing, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like when I wear my natural hair, I look younger. It's kind of weird. Like, I feel like I look more youthful and younger. And in comparison to when I'm wearing like my wigs and extensions, I feel like I look a lot older. So it's so weird, because I guess in that aspect, it's, you know, like, I love how you know, when I walk around, it's just different. People look at me and they say, oh, you look like you're glowing, like you look so much younger. And that kind of shows like, wow, like that's that natural beauty that a lot of people are talking about. But then again, I also understand that I'm going to be an individual that's again going to be working in corporate, and not only corporate, like a lot of the other spaces that I move in, I'm not naive. Like, again, I understand the way in which I'm going to be socialized, especially me being darker as well. Us having this conversation, like, if I wear this wig and I were to bring something up to attention, people are not going to be as offended by my tone as when I'm wearing this wig versus if I'm wearing my natural hair. If I'm wearing my natural hair and let's say like I speak up on something that I think is wrong, that could be seen as me being aggressive or me being, you know, loud. But you know, if I have this type of hair texture and I manage to limit my voice and I control my mannerisms and I control the way that I am, then I'm going to be seen as more docile. Because again, this is a sign of me moving through dominant society. So I'm not going to be seen as much as a quote unquote threat or someone that's, you know, hitting against the grain, I guess, in that sense. So again, to go back to your question, yes, my natural hair does make me feel beautiful. That's not the question. The question is, how am I going to be socialized when I walk out the door? Sometimes I don't feel like having people come over to me and touch my hair. I don't feel like having to do that. Sometimes I don't feel like people, you know, taking me in as being aggressive because I'm simply asking you to pass me a straw. I don't feel like having to go through that sometimes. And I understand that. I understand that, boop, I put this on. That's not necessarily to say that I'm going to be treated perfectly fine, even with this on, but I understand that there are certain things that I'm just not going to have to deal with when I go out.
Yeah. So, what was I about to say? Oh, yeah. So you were talking about like, just like societal, you know, reactions to her hair, right? And so when it's out, what do you do to it?
When it's out, well, obviously the first thing I do is make sure it's clean. So then I'll go through the whole process of, you know, water, oil, taking out my hair, making sure my fingers are moisturized when detangling my hair, brushing it out with a wide tooth comb, you know, washing, co-washing, condition, stuff like that. But when I do go out, I again try to put it in a protective style. So I'll put it in a bun or I'll try to braid it up, do something on the side, like I'll do a couple of braids on the side and then like let my fro out. um yeah, that's essentially what I'll do. But again, just because of the schedule that I have and like the way that I'm moving, and the way that things are going to be happening out in the future, again, I understand I'm just not going to have time to be doing my hair like that, especially when I have 4C hair. Again, like 4C hair is no joke. Like, unless you, and I understand people have 4A hair, 4B, that's fine. But unless you have specifically 4C hair, you're not going to understand that struggle. Like, and again, when I reference 4C hair, I'm talking about a Lupita Nyong'o. Like, if you don't have that hair texture, you're not really going to understand what that's like to have to constantly go through preparation for your hair. It's a lot.
Yes, I agree. But I've also done your hair, right? And I think look, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna say my piece, and we're gonna go, right? But I think the conversation, I was talking to my friend. She's a hairstylist. Like she just recently cut my hair,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about this, about like people who have 4C hair. So you could tell me how you feel about this. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like that conversation of like people with 4C hair just don't think that their hair can like do anything, and just like, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but like putting not so much effort, because I know you do your hair, like obviously
Mm-hmm.
you wash it, you do all the things.
Right, right.
But like when it comes to styling it, like I know you prefer to have it under a wig, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like styling it, like do you ever branch into that? Like just letting your hair breathe in between braiding it back up and putting the wig on and stuff like that.
Well, I would say for me individually, like, and let me also say I do make my own wig, so this little plug in there. But I would
please.
I would say, like, even though I do make my own wigs and stuff, I've never really sat here and tried to pretend like I'm necessarily like a hair guru. Even with my wigs, like, I don't necessarily do that many designs on my hair. That's why you'll see me with, like, a loose one like this, or I might have like a more kinky one. I just recently, like a year ago, learned how to honestly cornrow my hair by myself. So I'm still even learning how to do like regular, like, hair designs and, like, stuff. I can do obviously like a pin up and like a little braid side and stuff like that. But for me, I'm still trying to learn different ways of how to design my hair. So I'm still on that journey myself. Again, I could do a little cornrow. I can do a couple of braids on my head, no problem. But other than braids, like, what else is there? So for me, that's part of my research, being able to really understand what else can I do in that sense. So maybe I'm not the best example for, what you brought up, but I have definitely heard that argument. I do think that in a way, like, she is right, in terms of us not really, people with 4C hair not really knowing how to design it and stuff. But again, like, where are we supposed to learn these things? You know what I mean? Like, you can't even go on YouTube and look up how to do 4C hair tutorials, because you go on there and all the people there got 4A, 3C hair. You go around to other people with 4C hair, they don't know how to do it either. So it's just like, we don't have that many sources for us to really learn how to do our hair. In fact, 2 years ago, I was asking myself, why is it that I can't do a wash and go? Baby, you wash and go not gonna look the same on your hair as like someone else. Like, for me, it's not gonna be a wash and go. It's gonna be a wash, rinse, moisturize, gel, lock, scarf, days, air, like
Days,
fire, water, earth. Call me Aang. Like, I gotta put all the 4 elements together. Like, so that's how it is. Like, I could definitely understand where she's coming from in that perspective, but again, it's just like, we don't have that many resources.
I agree. I see what you're talking about, because there's this, and there's a couple. I don't know if I would consider her 4C, but she's type 4 somewhere
Right.
there. But what I know who is, her name's Chizzy Duru, and like,
Yes.
one of the videos I was watching, she was like reacting to TikToks by people who like use the 4C hair hashtag. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's become really popular to just add the hashtag, because it's a thing. Like, people put it there just so it could get seen, because people are like you said, people are searching for it. So the more people search for it, the more it'll pop up. So now it's like a popular hashtag to tag onto your stuff and whatnot.
Right.
So, and I know she's been in the YouTube game for a while. So I know I've seen her videos even when I was trying to figure out my own stuff.
Right.
Even though it's not the same, I know I liked some of the tips and stuff she used, so it was fine. But yeah, it is about visibility. If you don't see it, how do you know you can do it?
Right.
You just
And it's
know.
Right. And again, even with 4C hair, like, the other issue that you come up with 4C hair is, often when you even look up professional videos on how to do 4C hair, they're never really working with the 4C hair in its natural state. It always needs to be changed. It always needs to be straightened. It needs to be blown out. It's never dealt with in its natural state. So it's like, again, like, how are you supposed to navigate and find out ways to be creative if you're like me and you're not as creative with hair necessarily, and you're gonna need like an outside source to kind of help you like lead the way, where are you supposed to find that? And again, I'm glad you brought up how, it's popular for a lot of influencers to put in a hashtag 4C and stuff like that. I'll never forget when Sky Jackson, I guess she was talking about her hair, and she put in that she loves Sky Jackson, by the way. but she was talking about how she has 4C hair, and I'm looking at her like, baby girl, no, you don't. Like, that's not 4C hair. Like, it's important for us to make this distinction. I feel like it really is. And sometimes I get heated about these conversations because what we fail to realize is that if you don't make the distinction, what happens is that there turns out to be an erasure of that group that's not getting that attention. Same thing with Black women. If you don't have enough diversification for skin tones, what happens is you get an erasure of those that are not presented. That's why we're having an erasure of dark-skinned Black women. We're having an erasure of 4C hair. We're having an erasure of women with wider noses. We're having an erasure because, again, we don't make that distinction. We're not saying like, it's fine. Everybody can be beautiful in their own right, but let's show some more diversification. Let's show those who actually have 4C hair. Let's make that distinction. It's important.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, that like it's kind of, they're being erased basically.
Erased, yeah.
So when you think about the natural hair movement and I guess its beginnings, it was mainly for those with tighter texture. So the 4C
right.
would be the type 4 girls basically.
Right.
And so would you agree with the notion that the whole natural hair movement has kind of strayed away from its initial focus?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, even when I go on my regular Instagram explore page, like, and I understand the algorithm comes in a way where it depends on like what you view. It's then going to reflect again what you want. But then I'm beginning to realize that even when I go out of my way to search up dark-skinned women, 4C hair, stuff like that, no matter how many times I still try to search up these topics, why is it that I'm still getting other images in my explore? You know what I mean? Like, how is this out? How is this working out? It's just not making sense. Because I know what I'm very much a proponent of surround yourself with images that reflect how you are. Therefore, it boosts your self-esteem. So I realized that for me in my whole self-esteem journey, the reason why I was feeling less than myself was because I was comparing myself to people who didn't even remotely look like me, to people whose features aren't even remotely the same as mine. So again, when you begin to surround yourself with people who resemble how you look, you begin to then find more of your natural beauty within yourself. So I do feel like the natural hair movement took a huge step back. Again, we already realize that everything we do is to pertain to the dominant society. So again, if we don't make that distinction, what's going to happen is those that fall or are closer to dominant society standards are going to get the limelight. So it makes sense that people with a skin tone like a Zendaya or hair texture like a Zendaya would be the front cover of a natural hair movement, because we're not making the distinction. We're not trying to push, for kinkier hair. In a sense, we're not really pushing for equity, right? Because again, we understand that people with that phenotype are already closer to dominant society. So it's up to us now to take even extra steps to make sure that we push those with 4C hair to the forefront, to push those darker women to the forefront. Because again, we understand that they already are closer to dominant society. They're going to get that limelight whether or not we support it or not. So again, like, I do think we took a huge step back. And I just feel like, and it's great that you're doing this, because again, I also feel like when I have conversations with people that are natural, it's not a genuine conversation about how there are often a lack of representation for kinkier coiled hair. So it's great that you're open to having an honest conversation as a woman that might have a looser hair texture, but you're still able to see the disparity with having a looser hair texture versus a coiler hair texture. You know what I mean? So it's good that we're having these conversations.
Oh, most definitely. My mom's hair, I've been doing my mom's hair for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So, when she don't want to do her hair no more, she be like, Tyler, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom's hair is tighter than mine. So it's like 4B, 4A, something like that. So she's type 4
Mm-hmm.
completely, except for like maybe the back of her head, but then that's like the loosest, I guess.
Right.
But especially like for her, when I had to start doing her hair, I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't look like what's on my head. So now I have to kind of alter how I do it. And so it was more of me like trying to have to look up certain things on how to moisturize her hair, and like if
Right.
there's anything different that I needed to do that would help her hair versus how I do my hair, and to see if the two could come together at least a little bit. And that was kind of when I really started seeing like the disparities and stuff like that, because not only I was doing my own hair, but I was doing her hair as well. And then sometimes when my sister would come home, I would wind up doing her hair too. So I had hands in different pots, and I was able to see, okay, she needs this, she needs this, I need this. But when I look up, I can help myself.
Right.
So it's just like making stuff up on the spot. So like now when I do my mom's hair, it's fine because I know when I'm doing it's my mother. But like if when I did your hair, I was like, okay, what do you do? Tell me what you do so I don't do something wrong.
Right. And it's actually funny that you talk about like looking up the process of how to take care of your mom's and your sister's hair. Again, like the way that kinkier hair is socialized, it's crazy because again, it wasn't even a couple of months ago. I didn't even realize this, but the words that we use for kinkier hair, coarse, harsh, coily, like those are very hard, aggressive words for type 4C hair. But then we begin to realize that 4C hair is actually one of the most sensitive hair types of all. Type 4 hair is by far one of the most sensitive hair types. So sensitive that you can't necessarily be out here combing it and brushing it. You need moisturization when you're taking care of your hair. I even saw this on Twitter, like, so precious is our hair that you need satin to go to sleep in it. Because if you don't go to sleep with satin, your hair's gonna break off. So if we start talking about these types of hair in a more, I guess, gentle approach, we begin to, again, come closer to the journey of understanding how to really take care of our hair. Growing up, especially when you got your hair braided, my scalp used to be attacked. Have your hair brushed through mad aggressively trying to get through the curls, not realizing that you're damaging your hair. Again, our hair is very sensitive. It's very sensitive. So you have to take your time and be nurturing and care for it. And yes, it's a process, but that's the journey that you have to take if you want healthy hair.
100%. I agree. And this will be not the last about hair before we get into wigs, and then wrap it up. Okay. So I know we mentioned it before, and the whole term of good hair, right? So, well, what's your opinion on that whole thing? Like, the way it's used, like, like the connotation that it has, basically, and the effects that it's had on specifically Black women and people within the diaspora, not only women but men, transgenders, all that.
I mean, again, like it all stems down to colonialization. Like it's a no-brainer. Like again, we understand that all of these concepts are coming from a very Eurocentric form of beauty. So when we talk about good hair, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the proximity to Eurocentric ideals, Eurocentric beauty. What is Eurocentric beauty? It's long, straight, or looser curled hair. That's what it is, point and simple. So again, and even as Black people across the diaspora and everything that we've had to go through, we have been conditioned to believe that, these things are even more acceptable than our own selves. So when a lot of times we won't even acknowledge that point. You can't make progress if you can't even acknowledge step one. Step one is, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. There are definitely times where I catch myself saying some ignorant stuff to myself, and I have, oh, wait a minute, where is this coming from? You know what I mean? So, even from my own self, like if I'm looking around at an ad and I say like, oh, she has good hair, what does that mean? What does that mean for me to say that? And so again, like we come into the conversation of, and let me also point this out that also when we talk about the natural hair movement,
you know, we often don't include men in the conversation, but men do need to be in the conversation because they're affecting the way in which Black women are being also socialized to take care of our hair. Comments such as, you know, I don't want to get with her because she doesn't have good hair, or I don't want to be associated with this person because I want my kids to have. Again, this is all the fetishization, the colonial like footprint that we all believe that we can't even see ourselves as beautiful. We're not recognizing our own beauty. We're recognizing the Eurocentric terms of beauty. And so even when we talk about like, I guess like even wigs and stuff like that, you know, the conversation of wigs, like, especially if you want to work in corporate, yeah, things now are a lot better, but at the same time, still things are still the way that they are. Even with wigs, like if you have a looser, you know, textured wig, your chances of socializing and getting through the ranks are going to be a lot better and easier than someone if you were to even wear a wig such as you're wearing right now. You know what I mean? Like the wig that you're wearing right now, still in certain spaces, wouldn't be seen as acceptable sometimes. So, I don't know, like, I try to be patient with people because I do realize that everybody has, you know, a certain journey that they have to go through as it relates to really breaking down the ways that we've been conditioned. I would ask, though, that for those that are still struggling with that journey, to keep your ignorance to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not saying that we all need to be perfect, but you spreading around that ignorance is not necessarily helping. You stopping people from making progress is not helping. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Move out the way so those that need to make change can make that change to positively affect younger generations. Like hearing songs like Chris Brown talk about good hair, it's now, like this is not the early 90s. Like I feel like also at this point, a lot of people we don't have excuses anymore. These are conversations now that have been going on for 10 plus years now. So now you can't necessarily claim to be 100% not knowing what's going on. Yeah, you might not know all, you know, the specific points and details, but you have a general sense of what's going on. So again, like everyone has that journey of trying to understand what good hair means to them. Me specifically, I believe good hair is healthy hair that's taken care of. That's what I believe good hair is. No matter what your texture is, no matter what your length is, does that matter? Because again, when we talk about good hair, especially as it relates to Black women, you know, a lot of the times when, you know, a Black woman on Instagram, for example, is showing her natural hair, the point that's shown is, oh, her hair's long. Again, length is also related to Eurocentric ideals. So as long as if your hair is short and healthy, that's good hair. You know what I mean? If it's long and healthy, that's good hair. If it's kinky, I personally like the word nappy. I like to embrace the word nappy. You know, that's a word that I want to turn around into a positive. If your hair's nappy and coily, that's good hair. As long as it's being taken care of and as long as you're nurturing it, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you brought at some point that you made, but there's this this movie that came out. Hold on, I googled so I knew what I was talking about. It's called School Days. It's a Spike Lee movie, and one of the songs that they sing, it's called Good and Bad Hair, and in the film, like the scene, it's the light skinned girls versus the dark skinned girls, and that's the whole concept of the video and of the song is, you know, good and bad hair, you know, and the light skinned girls are like, oh yeah, like I can do this with my hair, and the dark skinned girls are talking about their hair, and it's like a whole battle, and it's like, okay, this stuff has been perpetuated everywhere, not only in like like white media, like mainstream media, but then it's also coming from our own people. So it's like it's a lot for us to even try to unpack and get rid of. Like, oh, okay, well, I see it, but it's another thing to continuously see it perpetuated in movies made by Black people. Like Tyler Perry, I don't care that he's a billionaire, he gives his actresses bad wigs, doesn't give them makeup, and makes them look bad. No effort. He's like, that's not my job. It is your job. It is your
It
job.
is your job, especially if you're marketing to a target of, if your target market is Black women, it most definitely is your job to make sure that you're doing the research that is needed. If you are going to make films that are surrounded around Black womanhood, coming from a Black male perspective, you need to make sure those conversations are being had. And I'm glad that you brought that up, that unfortunately, even within our own Black media, we're also perpetuating these same Eurocentric ideals. You know what I mean? It's one thing if we were to say like, okay, this is, you know, the white individuals are out here discriminating against us. We know what that is. You know what I mean? We understand history. But for us to be treating ourselves like that, that's what I find disrespectful. But at the same time, I also understand because we've all been conditioned in this system. So again, I just ask, like, again, we all go through this journey of trying to waken up and love ourselves, be able to realize our self-worth. I would just ask that if you're ignorant, keep your ignorance to yourself.
And that's on period.
And that's on period.
That's the end of the sentence, cause no more, please.
Period.
So we're gonna talk about your wigs now. You know what I'm saying? So when were you first introduced to wigs?
Growing up, I've always seen like my aunties and my mom like always wear wigs, so like that wasn't ever like an issue. I personally didn't start really wearing like extensions, wigs, like tracks until I would say my first time was middle school when I had like a clarinet recital or something, and I like got my first sew-in. And it's crazy because like looking back, I could definitely see how my reaction was very much like a sign of low self-esteem. And here's how. Because I realized that after I got my sew-in, I had like a sense of new confidence that I didn't have when I had my braids or when I had my natural hair. I had a sense of better confidence. I felt better about myself. And the worst thing about it was when I got the hair taken off, then I returned back to my state of low self-esteem. So again, like it took years for me to better unpack, like, why is it that I don't feel as pretty, you know, with my hair extensions or wigs versus without it? So, once I came to that realization, I, you know, realized that the first step is for me to just stop straightening my hair. You know, if I'm going to be wearing these wigs and extensions, and it's actually crazy because let me backtrack a little bit. Before, wearing wigs and hair extensions was seen as a necessity for me to be valued. It was seen as a necessity for me to have better self-esteem. Whereas now, when I wear my wigs and extensions, it functions as a sense of protection for my natural hair. So that's the journey that I've kind of gone through, from seeing it as a way of it elevating me to a state of this is protection for myself. So yeah.
That's so interesting that your first time getting like extensions or something, it kind of made you feel better. Because the first time I got a weave, it was senior year of high school, and I got it for prom, and I wanted to take it out like a week after because I hated it. I did not like anything. Not that it was done wrong. I just did not like.
It just felt foreign. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. It felt weird to have something else in my head. And I was like, oh, yeah, special occasion, it's prom, like go all out, do all the things, like get your makeup done, get the hair done.
Right. And then what do you do for prom? What do you do when you have a big celebration? Right. When you have you straighten it. That's the show, like elevation. Like this is something better. Like yeah.
And like now, I've really been more cognizant of that, because until was it last year or sometime, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna wear my hair curly for special events, like when BSU had fashion shows or ACSU had Mr. and Miss ACSU. I was like, all right, well, this is a special event, but why my hair gonna be straight?
Right.
And so going back to like the whole weave thing, I wanted to take it out like 2 weeks after I had it, and my mom was like, we finna get our money's worth, so you're gonna keep it in for a month.
Keep it in.
But the day it hit a month, my friend who was she just got out of cosmetology school, I said, come cut this out.
Come cut this out.
I can't. I didn't want it. It just felt weird. And
Right.
I was just like, I don't want it.
Yeah. So, I definitely feel you. And especially, I will say, like, for me, it took me a little bit of a journey to not even only with braids, just also with box braids as well. Like, it took me a little bit of a journey to understand how certain hairs can affect my hair type. Because again, what a lot of people don't talk about is hair sensitivity. Myself, I'm just a very sensitive person, whether it's my skin, whether it's my hair, sensitive. So I realized, even as I was growing up, that wigs for me fit me better, because if I wore box braids, my scalp would react. You know what I mean? There are certain chemicals that are in braiding hair that can negatively affect your scalp when you put that hair in. So, you know, when I would be getting my hair braided, I'd be like, obviously itching is just like the journey that you take when you get braids. Like, that's no issue. Like, you go do a little pat every once in a while. But then I realized, like, this amount of itching is just not normal. And I realized that chemicals that are often in the braiding hair would affect my scalp, where I was getting like really itchy and irritated. So that's also another reason why braids for me work, because again, all I have to do is, if I'm making my wig, you know, that's a whole other process, but I braid my hair, put this on, and my scalp is not feeling irritated. It's secure. It's in here. It's locking the moisture that I put in my hair for the day. I mean, for me, it's quick, easy, and ready to go.
Yes. Yeah, I'm learning that. When I get a good wig, I'll let you know. Okay, when I get a good one,
let your good sis sew it up. Support Black business.
Don't worry, I'll come to Connecticut. I don't even need a reason to come to Connecticut. Okay, I'll just go. But what's your favorite thing about wigs? Like, besides the convenience of it all, like what's your favorite thing about it?
I just like how you kind of look like a different person, in a sense. Like, I just like the different personalities that it brings out. You know, I have my little short bob. I called her Edna, you know, stiff well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just felt like that girl, a top secret agent. You know, with this, and I feel like a little Tiffany, you know, a little hi. You see what I'm saying? And then if I have my little kinky wig, you know, they call me Keisha. And it's just like, you know, like, there's just different...
Even the Keisha wig?
I'm playing.
Keisha? Really?
Look at me talking about socialization over here. The kinky wig, there was a Keisha.
Boo. Boo.
I'm joking. But like, I really do like, I just feel like different wigs bring out a different, like, part of your personality. Honestly, that's really what it is. It's a different look. And also, like, the process of doing it is really interesting. If you really sit down and watch videos about how to install like a lace front wig, or how to, you know, put in like different tracks and stuff or extensions, it's actually really interesting to see like the different ways that Black hair is so diverse, in the sense of the different hairstyles that we can keep up. So that's good.
Oh, but also, okay, would you get into like the colorful wig trend, you know, like the pinks and the blues and the oranges and the greens and whatnot?
I would definitely love to. Here's the only problem that I have. There's two problems, okay? So one, dyeing hair is a process, and I feel like I still need to learn a little bit more about how to dye hair, because again, like, this is human hair. So you can't just be going around adding whatever you want to it. It's going to affect the quality of the hair and how it is. So the one thing I don't want to do is spend all that money on tracks and end up damaging it. That's the one thing. The second thing is, I'm also on a budget because COVID. So these natural, especially if you want a synthetic color wig, you can always get for like $50, $70. If you want a good human hair wig that's colored, you're going to be spending a good $200. Like, that's a good 200, if not more, depending on length and, you know, how much hair you have on the density of the wigs. So $200, I can get some new clothes. So, you know, for now. And I mean, this, if you look at this wig, like I added some colors. I tried, you know, this was a cute little attempt. So it's all right. That's your hair blowing in the wind.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm out.
My
You're annoying.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, but there's one YouTuber that I watch, and she does color really, really well. Her name's Arnell. She's a but yeah, she does color like so, and she show you how you do it.
The watercolor and the hot water and the dipping and
all of that. You know the WAP video, the purple and green hair Cardi had? She redid that. She's been doing like a bunch of recreations recently. But I know if you ever wanted to like look into that or like see it.
You said Arnell?
Yeah. ARNELLARMON. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will definitely note that.
Yeah. Oh, and the I was gonna get to this. The braiding hair, this is what I learned. When I started doing my own hair, I washed my hair first. So, and not with like shampoo, but like apple cider vinegar and like white vinegar. And I just let it sit for like a couple hours, and then all the stuff kind of floats to the top, basically.
I heard, the chemicals then are released when you wash with apple cider vinegar,
You just continuously rinse it out with like cold water.
Right.
Until the vinegary scent is gone, and then let it dry, and then
you're good to go, yeah.
Yeah, that's why when I had those passion twists, they lasted for a while because that's what I did. My hair didn't itch as much, but it definitely helps with the irritation.
Yeah, that's what I did for my hairstyle for spring break. Yeah, I was able to use the hair with apple cider vinegar and just definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, I think the next time I do any sort of protective style, this is gonna be the length, because that long stuff.
That's
woo!
And you know me, like even me personally, I mean, this is like a little longer, but for me, I prefer short hair. So it's just easier. It looks nice. It's just gotta go. Like you don't gotta be worrying about.
I'm on mute.
Yeah, I realized that. I said.
Yeah, I'm on mute.
Hello again.
So now we're gonna get to close the interview. But if you could talk to your younger self about her hair, what would you say to her? And you know, if there was any words of encouragement that you would give to her, like what would you say?
Because texturism, featurism, colorism are kind of all wrapped into one in a sense. I would definitely tell my younger self to stop looking for outside sources to validate your self-beauty. Stop looking for outside people or opinions to affect how you view yourself. Because again, like moving to Connecticut, I went from very diverse spaces to very predominantly white spaces. And so again, growing up in like that pivotal time where you really are getting to building your self-esteem, those were actually like some of my lowest points because, you know, again, as a girl, like you're looking around and, you know, that's when you start getting interest in boys and you start like, you know, getting friend groups. And I began to realize like I was just never that girl that was being picked. And that really began to bother me. And so I kind of turned all of that negativity onto myself instead of realizing what was going on around me, instead of realizing the context that, hey, I'm this dark-skinned African black girl in this predominantly white space. Like, there's only so much that my beauty is gonna be examined. You know what I mean? Like, at one point, I'm going to be seen as unattractive. At another point, there's certain features of mine that people are going to want to pick at and want to add on to their own selves and dismiss the Black part of it. So, appropriation. So, like, I would tell myself, like, you're only one person. There's only so much that you're going to be able to change. I might not be able to force someone to uncolonize their mind, but what I can do is uncolonize myself and be able to realize that I am a beautiful African woman and God made me the way she made me. And that's what it is.
Please.
It's a woman. God is a woman.
Please, Ariana.
Album coming out in
Please.
October.
Please, Ariana. God.
No.
People are so
Miss Set Fire to the
Oh, please, Adele. Please. And the way people tried to start a diaspora war over Adele was
Girl,
really...
let me just say.
And wait,
I'm so tired of these Africans out here.
Bro,
I'm so
nobody was
tired.
mad. Nobody was mad. Nobody was mad.
Nobody was mad.
Nobody
Nobody was upset.
No Black Americans, no actual Jamaicans were upset. Nobody was mad.
Nobody was mad.
They be like, you Black Americans, everything is not about you. This is not your culture. Why do you guys think the world revolves around you when you don't have any culture? How we don't got culture, but you stealing it? What's the...
The amount of Africans that showed up in there really trying to, and that's a whole nother conversation. But again, like, that's what I can't stand. Like, if you're ignorant about something, keep that ignorance to yourself. Like, do you realize how idiotic you look as an African, really trying to sit here and shame Black Americans who might have put it out that this is a Black hairstyle? This is what I'm saying. Like, unless you are taking active, you cannot just wake up one day and be like, I'm free of colonial. No. Unless you are taking specific actions to decolonize the way that you think about certain things, you're going to keep thinking about those things in that way. That's what I'm saying. It upset me that so many Africans were over there really trying to start an argument with Black Americans. And I'm looking at these fellow Africans like, you're actively contributing towards your own oppression. You do realize that, right? You're actively contributing towards your own oppression when you making statements like that. You need to understand the difference between assimilation and appropriation. And then again, I do understand why many Africans are ignorant about these issues, because we don't see race the same way we see race in this country. When you come from a place that's all Black people, you know, specific race relations are not in the forefront. You're not really thinking about it, whereas in the US, it's in your face. You know what I'm saying? But me personally, I don't know anybody that was upset about that. I looked at that picture and I was cracking up. Like, I was like, Adele, what you doing? Adele.
All the remixes, the I set fire to the rain. Chet Hanks.
Me find another like you.
My guy Chet, okay? He really came out the woodworks for that one, because we ain't heard from him in a minute. And he was like, it's my time to shine. This is my time, okay?
That remix with Adele. Then they started bringing up pictures when she was in the argument on the phone. This said she was definitely growing the Spanish house. She said, I said, Skepta must have.
So now we're about to close out this interview, but I want to give Joy a minute or so to just, say anything she has on her heart about the state of the world right now, or natural hair, or just, being Black and the feelings that come with it. So take it away, Joy.
I would just say, like, I feel like for just Black people across the diaspora, I think for us, we understand the systems that we live in. We know the world that we live in. I think for us, the number one thing that we need to always keep in mind is self-love. I feel like 90% of the issues that we go through within our community, as it relates to how we deal with these issues, relates to lack of self-love. We, as Black people across the diaspora, we don't value ourselves. And we don't value ourselves in our full form. We just don't appreciate our Blackness. We don't appreciate our roots. And I get it now, like it's a cute little trend for everyone to be, Black Girl Magic and Black Lives Matter and da-da-da, stuff like that. But my thing is, you can't be necessarily screaming out Black Lives Matter if you're not treating the Black people in your life with love and care. Black Lives Matter is more than just protesting against police brutality. It's more than just protesting against the deaths that Black women go through at the hands of improper medical use when we go into our hospitals. It's how we treat each other during everyday situations. If we treat each other with more love, more respect, if we begin to truly value ourselves and not value ourselves in terms of mixing things together with Black, Black, I was talking about like Black pride, but you say people with Black pride want to come around talking about, I'm part Cherokee, I'm part da-da-da. No. I'm talking about being proud in your Blackness as Blackness is. No mixing, no gentrification, no nothing. Loving your Blackness just the way it is. Understand? And to any Black girl that's watching this, especially if you're a dark-skinned Black woman, especially if you're a dark-skinned Black woman with Black features, especially if you're a dark-skinned Black woman who might be a little on the bigger side, if you're a dark-skinned Black trans woman, if you're just a Black woman, period, I just want you to know that you're beautiful, you're loved, you are the very creation of humanity. Anytime that you feel like you have low self-esteem, get up, look in the morning and say, I am the mother of humanity. And if that doesn't raise your self-esteem, if that doesn't allow you to walk around these streets with your head held high, then I don't know what is. Being able to recognize that you are where humanity stems from, you are the original woman, being able to hold your head high and be able to understand that will honestly elevate your life. So again, I just preach more love to each other, be able to love ourselves, and Black women, let's really all be able to love ourselves. Let's stop the beef between each other. Let's all collectively come together because, as you know, we don't have nobody else that's looking out for us. It's just us. It's really just us looking out for us. So with that being said, we got to really look out for each other and love each other. So that's all I got to say.
Yay. But I want to say thank you. I know we kind of missed each other the first time we were supposed to do this, but I'm glad we were able to sit down and talk. Same. And because I know, not that we have similar views, but I know there's a lot of things that we think similarly on, even though we have different experiences, especially hair-wise and just environmentally. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. I love you, sis, you fam or whatever. Okay.
Props to Madam Presidentes.
You know the vibes. Ex-presidents, you know the vibes.
I'm cracking up.
Oh, but thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you in the next video.